NXT Battleground Las Vegas is this Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the match card and predictions stream for you here today. 6 matches in total. Myself and NXT will be discussing. But before we do that, let's give you the match card that we'll be discussing here today. Six matches there for you in total. Then NXT, welcome to the stream. My first question for you here today is your excitement levels between 1 and 10 for NXT Battleground Las Vegas.
It's been a while since I've been excited about NXT. I'd probably say a 7 or 8. There's a couple of things I'm really interested in, like the main event and the Jordynne Grace coming over from TNA. But I'm also interested in a 6-woman ladder match for the new North American Championship and a tag team title match. So the card looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. For me, Battleground, a couple of weeks ago for me, before a lot of the hype kicked in with Jordynne Grace and Ethan Page, I was sort of in the middle of the road area because I thought to myself, oh, whoever Trick faces, he's probably going to win. You know, kind of had that sort of safe, predictable feel. But recently, with the last couple of weeks, and looking at the card now, I'm actually going to go like a high 9 out of 10. I'm really hyped for a Battleground. I don't remember ever being excited for a Battleground like I am for this Sunday at the moment. I think as well, being at the UFC Apex as well is going to be an interesting environment to see this all go down in. And like you say, we've got going to crown a new North American women's champion for the first ever time. We've got, like, say, Jordynne Grace, Knockouts champion, going against Roxanne Perez, which, judging by WWE's website, could be main eventing this show. It seems to be the top match presented. Ethan Page is the next match presented down on the lineup. So, which I'm a big fan of Ethan Page, so I'm excited to see what he can do as well. And I mean, you mentioned tag team wrestling, but that's not as well. First time ever, NXT Underground is going to be featured on a premium live event, and NXT has really reshaped what Underground has meant. I hated it under the Raw banner. NXT has done different for me, so that's what I'm going to say there. But yeah, so first off, we've mentioned a number of matches that we are looking forward to. It seems like it's quite a few of them. What match are you most looking forward to?
I mean, it's too easy to say the North American match because it's the ladder match. It's for a title. They're usually quite exciting. And then again, it's pretty easy to say Jordynne Grace being in there because I imagine that's going to be a killer match. So, do you know what? Just to be awkward, I'm going to say Ethan Page versus Trick Williams just because I want to see what kind of character we're going to get. Well, how Ethan Page is going to be presented in WWE.
I mean, to be fair, it's an excellent answer, really. I mean, I'm excited for All Ego, what he's going to do. Like I said, I'm hyped for most of this show, but it's got to be Roxanne Perez, Jordynne Grace for me, the match I'm most looking forward to. It feels like a dream match on paper when you consider NXT versus TNA. You couldn't really nail it any better. So, and good news for those that are watching, those that are here early, thank you for coming in. It's going to be match number 1 we are going to talk about. So just saying big thank you to everyone that's joining on YouTube, first of all. If you're new here, make sure to hit the like button, share the event, subscribe as well. If you're watching on X, thank you all for getting involved and watching on there. It's the first time we're doing one of these prediction streams over on there. But of course, you can't comment, sadly, on the X side, but you can on the YouTube side. So consider hopping on over to YouTube. You can get involved, more interactive with the show. But of course, a like and a retweet, of course, is massively appreciated as well. But let's jump into the comments then on YouTube just before we go into our first match. And shout out to Eric Douglas here, who's actually said excitement level is a 10 out of 10 for him. Mike, Tannenham's Mike in house as well, says looking forward to Battleground. It's going to be a very good show. I think Jordynne Grace has to win the NXT Women's title to make it a huge deal, going in bold, nice and early. And like I said, with match 1 we will be talking about. Richard likes to throw in some spoilers for those that are new for this. It's predictions, really. Actually thinks Cora Jade makes a miraculous recovery to return, help Roxanne Perez win. If Cora Jade could do that, I would love to see it, but I think she's out for the long term. But hey, Richard, love the creativity. Sid says, do you think it'll be the best Battleground do you think Battleground will be the best PLE of the year so far? Interesting question. There's certainly a lot of hype going into it, but for it to be the best of the year, that's asking a lot there, isn't it?
Watch this space. I think depending on what they do with TNA could be a very interesting thing. Like, what do they call it? They call it the Forbidden Door. They call it the something portal or something, and it's just like I'm trying to sit and think that Survivor Series is at the end of the year. Maybe we get like a TNA. I'm wishful thinking that we get a TNA NXT crossover Survivor Series style pay-per-view. Do you know what I mean? And I think that will, if that happens, I think that one would probably be pay-per-view of the year. But this is pretty good so far.
This is certainly for NXT standards. I think it's definitely up there, the most hyped, most excited. It's going to be hard to top things like WrestleMania, obviously, especially with the night 2 of Cody versus Roman. You know, when you look on AEW side as well, they've had some good shows this year as well. So I don't know about the best here, but NXT standards, which I think down here it says best NXT. Really, I think it certainly has got the potential to do that. Yes, we've got Byron in house as both of this year's Money in the Bank winners will feature 7 people. Thanks for the info. I think we'll be keeping it on NXT though, Byron, if you don't mind, for the stream today, because we're going to shoot through these predictions in a couple of moments. And Mike giving his prediction here for the women's North American title, leaning towards Fallon Henley. Mike, I may agree, may disagree. We have to wait to the prediction. But let's dive straight into it then, shall we? We'll go with our first match. And as promised, for anyone that has been sticking around and is joining us here today, we're going to go with that first match then of the show, which will be the NXT Women's Championship match. Roxanne Perez defending the championship against TNA and TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace. Of course, this has led to massive discussion because, well, first of all, just the meat and the bone of the storyline in NXT. Obviously, Roxanne Perez has been defending the title against people from NXT, people from, well, Chelsea Green. I don't know if she was Raw or SmackDown at the time, but main roster talents. And she's pretty much said that Ava, the general manager, has had it in for her. She's jealous of her and is finding anyone that she can to take the title off of her, which is why it was a big surprise when we saw Jordynne Grace being put in as the challenger here, like we said, from TNA, not a part of NXT, Knockouts champion as well. But it's not the first time we've seen Jordynne Grace in WWE this year. Of course, she appeared in the Royal Rumble match, which was definitely a holy S word at that particular time. She had a great showing in the Rumble as well. So to be brought back here, A, must have impressed. B, adds more into this. Well, TNA's been referenced, the Knockout title's been referenced, and a lot of people now are discussing the idea that this is going to start being a working relationship between WWE, or more importantly, NXT and TNA, moving over a crossover, if you will, between the shows. And one we saw a minute ago from Eric Douglas in this, suggesting that Tatum Paxley could be after Jordynne Grace's TNA Knockouts Championship for Against All Odds next week. Eric, I do agree. But looking at things here, we could see more TNA people show up to support Jordynne this show. Something not to rule out necessarily. We could see people go over from NXT to TNA. But one thing could be interesting here is the question that was actually brought in by Mike there a couple of seconds ago. To make this a big deal, does Jordynne have to win here?
It's the $1 million question, really, isn't it? Like, as much as I'd love to turn around and say that Jordynne Grace is going to win this, I'm in the back of my mind, something says screwy finish, because how do you protect a women's champion from another company with a clean finish? I mean, if no one had ever seen Jordynne Grace before and they watched NXT last night, she absolutely destroyed Stevie Turner. And it's kind of like, how do you protect someone like that in a one-on-one match on a pay-per-view for a title? And she's supposed to be the top champion for a completely different company. So this draws a lot of intrigue. I mean, me personally, I'd say, yeah, all day long, let Jordynne Grace win. Let Roxanne Perez have to go to TNA to chase that championship. But there's so many things going on in the background with just TNA in general that it really is a hard one to call. Just because, like, if you've read anything lately, that TNA don't have any sort of recordings booked, I think, past the first week of August or something like that. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, but obviously, I'm probably not the only one, but there's a lot of people that sit there and speculate. Well, maybe Anthem are looking to sell TNA. WWE would obviously love the tape library. It's a great tape library to own. Maybe that's something for the future. Who knows? Maybe this is just the revitalization of TNA. Who knows? But dude, this is going to be special either way. But my brain is telling me screwy finish.
It's interesting you say screwy finish, because I feel in a way that would kind of ruin this early doors. That's what I would worry about, because you're presenting this as a big time match, especially if it main events as well, which is, judging by WWE's website, it's the top match that is presented. Byron suggested a draw in this one, actually suggesting a double pinfall. Does protect the ladies in this, but I mean, then you have to do it a rematch. You have to get a decider later down the road. I don't see how you get out of this by just doing a double pinfall and then, oh, everyone just is happy families and goes back to the other side. I suppose it could be the start
Double
of
DQ,
double
double
D
10
again.
count.
It's a very sour way to end the match and end the finish. I mean, it's just you have to then go back to it at another time. And I think you don't want to be coming back to this show when it comes to a review time and just think to yourself, that was a bad idea to do that, because everyone will just sound this very, very quickly. I think you need a decisive victor here. I do think it would be a bigger talking point if Jordynne Grace does it. I think it would be exciting. I mean, we've actually got Zany suggesting, say hypothetically Jordynne Grace won it, say Roxanne Perez was the one who went for the TNA Knockouts Championship against all odds. That could be a fascinating twist of a storyline.
Well, apparently Jordynne Grace has got an open invitation for whoever she faces. So, and obviously, I know there was a backstage segment last night with I forget who the character is. The one
Tatum Paxley,
yeah, and it's like Tatum Paxley looks to be like possibly being that challenger at that TNA pay-per-view, because also I've heard Brooks Jensen as well is apparently another one that's supposed to be going over.
Yeah,
but dude, I wouldn't be against them running it back again at TNA. I don't know. This has got to be a really clever finish. It's got to be really clever, and you've got to sit there and say that all right, that they've done right by both people here, because. As much as I don't really want Roxanne Perez losing, but I would really love to see Jordynne Grace win.
I mean, for me, I would love to see Grace win. I think it's the bigger headline coming out of the show. I think it's almost that. It's almost. I don't want to put it as high as like Money in the Bank 2011, but you certainly would have those questions of like, hang on, whoa, what's going on here? Like Punk, when he won the title, left the company. You thought he was gone. What happens next? There is that kind of sort of like, well, hang on. Grace is not done here. Like, she has to come back, and it sort of opens that door of a pathway to both sides, because it can be NXT. If Grace doesn't turn up on NXT for a few weeks, even if invited, it's a case of, well, we won our championship back. It encourages people to go to the TNA side. For example, if Perez maybe cheats to win, maybe it's an invitation of Grace wanting to come back and try and get revenge. There's different ways of how you can use this to actually make a NXT versus TNA kind of almost invasion angle, but I don't know if it's going to quite go that far. I can see talent shared rather than actually invasions at this particular time. Maybe later down the line it's something that could happen, but I think for now they're going to play it safe. I'm going to go in with a prediction. I'm not going to waste any time on it. I think Roxanne Perez is retaining. I don't see her losing the title. The way out of it, I think there is going to be a bit of a screwiness in the finish, because after all, Roxanne Perez is a heel, so she can do something of a dastardly tactic. Absolutely. If the referee's down, something like that. And Grace in that moment can sort of look, dare I say, almost, she can look like a hero in defeat. And it's almost a case of that, look, we came close to seeing Grace do it, said the referee's knocked down or whatever, didn't get the free count. Perez does something to cheat, and all of a sudden, boom, she gets the pinfall victory. But that's how I see it going down. And I think it's going to be, I can see this being one of the most exciting matches of the year, dare I say it.
Yeah, my only worry is that if you do a screwy finish, not even like necessarily a screwy finish, that if Perez somehow gets like, do you know what I mean? Just a lucky roll up from a distraction or something. You're almost kind of writing yourself into a corner where Jordynne Grace really should have a second shot at that title. Maybe they do it at TNA and it's for both titles. Who knows? But I've gone the same as you, man. Roxanne Perez is probably going to retain. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. My heart really wants Jordynne Grace to win, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I'm kind of like you. I mean, the thing is, I'm a big Roxanne Perez fan as well. I feel like I can't lose in this match, if I'm honest. I'm winning whatever happens here, but I want Grace to win it because I want the shock value. I want what's next? But I just feel at this moment, Roxanne Perez, I think, was destined to hold this championship until Julia came in. And obviously that's plans seemed a bit scuppered in the meantime, because I believe she was meant to debut at Heatwave. That's not looking likely at this point. So I'm guessing that WWE will probably pivot once again to see what they'll do with Roxanne Perez after this. Like you said, you could have Grace win here and do the rematch at Heatwave, because damn, it's a hot main event to do twice. But at the same time, I can't see past Roxanne Perez here. But I'm willing to be proven wrong when seeing it on the TV set. But hey, let's go into some comments then. Thanks to everyone that is watching currently, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on X. Make sure to, if you want to comment, though, to come onto the YouTube side. That way you can get interactive with the show. We've got here a 2 Sweet Carl from On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, a great podcast on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. Very excited for this show. Good to see you guys. Steve, I've got to get back on the channel soon. I think we're overdue. We are due for a stream, Carl. I'm not going to lie to you. Look out on the DMs. I'll drop you a message. We'll sort something out in the very near future for sure. We've got Eric suggesting potentially Cora Jade could be the one that could dethrone Roxanne when she returns. Again, I don't know how long Cora is out for. I think it's going to be for a while. We've got a question asking, would we like to see Chase U in TNA? That actually would kind of work for me. I wouldn't be against that with the gimmick and the level they're at. I don't see them winning the NXT Tag Team titles anytime soon. So they could be a fun gimmick that could be fun in the wacky world of TNA that is built with a lot of characters.
Yeah, I think if you want to give them just screen time, I don't know. I don't know what the idea of this partnership is, whether it's meant to be a case of building TNA back up to being essentially another competitor for WWE, or even just like raising their value and making them a must-see product again, or whether it's a case of WWE are essentially using them as a developmental almost, and it's kind of like, I don't know what to think at the present minute. But, dude, there's so much talent that could benefit just by going to TNA, just from doing, like, people that are not getting on TV that could just benefit from doing TV time. Do you know what I mean? Just doing some matches, just trying to develop a character almost, just to come back to NXT with.
Absolutely. Well, at the moment, obviously, Jordynne Grace is the only one that's come through and is come and appeared on the WWE side. It feels that TNA is benefiting out of this because of the fact that their champions being presented on TV and being presented strong as well. But you can see that if WWE sends their talent down there is a benefit of a partnership there for it, because, like you said, some WWE talent or NXT talent that isn't getting TV time gets TV time in TNA. But obviously, TNA gets the prestige of having WWE talent on their show and on their product. Of course, they have people that have worked for WWE there, before, but to actually have active people there, like you said, I do think it's almost a developmental stage for WWE. It's like you get these people the screen time, but I do also think you said about building a competitor. I don't think they're looking to actually build someone as competitor for WWE, but there is another company that they could be looking to build to perhaps to get to second place, because TNA could get closer to second place quicker than second place of that other company getting to first place at present, if you kind of get my drift, especially with the rumors and rumblings you hear with TNA, because, yeah, you said from August, there's nothing planned at the particular moment. No shows are set, but they want a location where they can be. They want somewhere where they can do live shows. That seems like a WWE bag kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying WWE is going to buy TNA, and I said on my Q&A yesterday, I'd quite like the idea. I'd like the tape library on the network because, look, that's just fun for me, But at the same time, for places of work, it's great for the variety. But it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to work out with NXT and TNA in this partnership. We have to just, I'd say, take it with slow, steady steps, not expect too much too soon. It looks like, as I say, we're grateful with Jordynne Grace coming in. We don't know if anyone else will come over to the other side. I may throw out one or two suggestions in this stream that could do, because I have one or two in mind. But what I would say is that we will probably see more people go to TNA than I think we'll see come to NXT. But that's just my feeling at this early stage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same as you. There is a couple of names I'd like to see come across. Even one for talent, right? There is two reasons. One is talent, but two is also there is potential storylines that they could do there, and it's kind of like, dude, even Joe Hendry, for God's sake, is like one of the ones that you could just sit there and say at the minute he's trending so much, and he's just released a song that's got, I think, what was it, number 4 in the charts, and do you know what I mean? He has potential to raise his value. I mean, obviously they're going to Scotland soon for Clash of the Castle, and it's kind of like there's excuses here for them to do stuff. So I don't know.
He's currently booked for Against All Odds that weekend.
I know.
I'm gutted. I'm gutted. But look, say his name and he appears, says 2 Sweet Carl, and I've got to say, I do agree with that. One thing I don't agree with, although I said the competition, I don't think AEW will drop to third place. So they are still far, far ahead of TNA. There's gulfs in between all this stuff. And, perhaps many would say New Japan is actually the third place, not TNA. But got to mention here about Brooks Jensen, his recent video. Seems like he'll be going to TNA. Yes, he is. The segment as well on NXT that was featured last night that wasn't seen by us, but there was a snippet online as well. Brooks Jensen was having a go at the commentary table, and he was then escorted out, and they did play the realism of Booker saying, I hope he's okay. Brooks Jensen apparently was kicked out of NXT Live event because he had a sign saying Bret Hart would book this better. I thought that was quite cool. The fact is, well, he's just been salty online for a long time as well. And he did say in this video that he's posted on, Instagram, TikTok, probably wherever you can watch your stuff. But he's turned around and said, I'm looking to make an impact. Obviously, clearly, I think he is one that is going to go through and be a part of TNA. And this is what I mean. Like right now, they haven't really got a direction with Brooks Jensen and what they're going to do, but they can make a go of whatever the character they're looking to create. Brooks Jensen probably would be someone that could slide into a prominent role. Say, for example, with a big show Slammiversary coming up, maybe someone that goes for an X Division title or has a meaningful feud. There was different ways and means that you can go about it. So it's going to be fascinating. I think there's a lot of win-wins and a lot of benefits that can come from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a case unfortunately, it's a case of sitting on our thumbs and waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens indeed. Zane would like to see Odyssey Jones go to TNA because he has not seen him on main roster TV. No one has. Only NXT is the place that we've actually seen him at this point. But we've got Mike here saying that I hope working agreement spans to both Raw and SmackDown versus TNA. The matchups would be endless. I'd like to see Mickie James versus Bianca Belair. Mickie James, I don't think is present there at the moment. I think she might have vanished for the time being, but certainly would be a match I would be down for seeing. But there's plenty of big time dream matches, and I may just give us a little hint away. Might be one of those videos dropping later this week on the channel because I like to have the recorded content as well. They're not all live, unfortunately. So for those that are watching on X right now, you would need to go over to the YouTube side to see that video. Eric, yes, did answer this one already. Yes, do think Tatum Paxi will be the one answering the challenge for Against All Odds. We've got here Noob and Co. Thank you for joining us. Hello, I believe Roxanne Perez to retain through nefarious purposes. Big word there. Big word that being used there. Word of the day there for the calendar for me. And Eric says that he's on his way to the same city AEW is in tonight. Interesting stuff indeed. Right, we'll move on in the meantime then, because we talked about match one. Let's go on to match number two we'll be talking about today. And obviously, it's a big show for the women of NXT. We're going to be crowning a women's North American champion. 6 women in a ladder match. We've got Jaida Parker, Ruca, Fallon Henley, Michin, Lash Legend, and Kelani Jordynne. There was a NXT compound, which gave us a bit of training, different sort of strength, physical, all these different attributes had to be there, and you had a top 12 list. These 6 ladies were on it, along with another 6 that led to qualifying matches, and these were the 6 that qualified. So looking at this, obviously, you're a big fan of ladder matches, NXT. Your thoughts with this lineup that we've got here?
To be fair, I don't know, because it's kind of like I'm very skeptical when it comes to certain people. Like I'm expecting Ruca to try and do some sort of finishing maneuver off of a ladder, and it's kind of like I'm worried that what they've got planned pulls off. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm excited for it because it's a ladder match. Ladder matches are great. You always have the idea of there is an opportunity of anyone can win it, but I think the NXT last night has kind of set the tone for who's going to be winning this show, or who's going to be winning this match.
Interesting. All right. I almost want to buy early. Go on. Who do you think then is?
No. You had to be that quick. Let's discuss this first, man.
Let's discuss. All right. I'll tell you what then. Let's go through the lady competitors, and if I happen to stumble upon that name that you think is destined to win it, that they've given away, I'd be interested to know about it. So first off, I would like to talk about Kelani Jordynne. Actually, I think she's a high flyer. I think she's well suited for this type of match. I think that her arsenal to doing dives off the ladder would be pretty cool. She's obviously looking for a moment to break out in NXT. I think she's had obviously the friendship breakup with Fallon Henley. Obviously, she had Dana Brooke at one point as a friend there. She was in the breakup tournament as a runner-up. So it feels a bit that she's not had the full moment where she's been able to stand out on her own. And of course, she said about, no one's got the heart like Lani to win this championship. And do you think she has a shot of winning?
I mean, to be fair, from coming from me, I think there's at least 4 names that have a decent shot at winning it. She ultimately is one of them, but unfortunately, she probably is number 4 in that list. Like, there's a couple of others that I'm just like, I don't really think. I think they're in here as just as a name to take a place. I think this is more about making a new star. So, for instance, Michin, as much as I love her, I just think she's in here for the sake of being in here. She's a powerhouse for this match type. But Kelani is one of the ones I would say probably has a better chance of winning the match. But in my ranking, she's number 4. But I would still say she's got a chance.
I'm going to disappoint everyone watching this right now. I don't have a ranking system. Just want to throw that out there. It's yes or no for me. But no, I think it's a fair point that you make there. I think Kelani Jordynne has got the potential. She's someone that I think represents what this championship should be, because she's someone currently that would be a mid-card champion. She shouldn't be chasing the top championships in NXT right now. So she's perfect for this division. It's what it's set up for. It's what it's based for. However, I don't have her winning. You've mentioned Michin already. You've ruled her out completely. I'm going to do the same. I think she's there purely for the big spots. Look, she's been involved in ladder matches before. She's mentioned herself about doing them in NXT in black and gold. Of course, Jaida Parker said if she gets in her way, she'll turn black and blue, which I thought was an awesome line, by the way. But Michin's also done this in TNA. Fun enough, I mentioned TNA already in this one. Last year or the year before, can't remember where it was. It was Slammiversary, it was a ladder match, or Queen of the Mountain. And there was a massive spots that were done in that match with Michin. And she likes to do the Shelton Benjamin spots. So I expect that to happen at some point during this ladder match. But I also do not see her winning. I mentioned Jaida Parker. She's a fantastic talker. Again, she's perfect for this division. I think this could be just, though, slightly too soon for Jaida Parker. For me, she's not someone I think is going to win this match. But I think we have got a star on our hands with Jaida here, because like I said, the in-ring stuff will catch up with her, but she's already a maestro on the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you sent me the clip earlier of her clapping back to Michin, and I was like, it was very cleverly written, very cleverly delivered, and very impressive. And and that's the stuff that will get you far in NXT, because you imagine people like Bianca Belair has come from that exact same spot. Do you know what I mean? When she was a heel running through black and gold NXT, so she's on the precipice of raising her level to stardom just alone from her mic work.
I think so as well. And I think she, not only NXT, I think even main roster, there was a very bright future for her right now. It's fun that you mentioned Bianca Belair as well, someone who also knew how to use her wits when she was in NXT. Jaida Parker certainly has added her own spin on things with that wit. And like I say, bright things for her. But I just, again, feel even though she's perfect for this division, I don't think she's going to be winning it here. I'm going to talk about Lash Legend next now, because it's another one that I don't see winning this. But she's someone that's been around probably, I want to say, the longest out of everybody here, because she was right at the start of 2.0. She was on TV doing a Lash Legend segments backstage. She is someone that I think has improved in ring, and she's come a long way. She's screamed about how this is the big opportunity for her, discussing with Trick Williams as well, saying that this is my opportunity to make something happen. But is all the distractions of the metaphor potentially could be her downfall? Has she been too distracted going into this match?
I mean, from a story kayfabe kind of wise, yes. I think more for me that is they still haven't sort of found what her character is. Like you said, when she first popped up and she was doing this talk show host segment backstage, and that didn't really go anywhere, and it was kind of like it was just used almost as filler for other stories on NXT. And now she's with the metaphor. I'm not entirely convinced by the group and the dynamic. The fact that they were carrying the Heritage Cup round for the longest time and making a big deal out of that. I don't get what it might just be me, but I don't get the point of the 4 of them. And then obviously there's a whole story with Trick Williams, and it's kind of like I still think with Lash they're trying to work out where they want her to be on the roster and what they want her to do. So I don't think this is the moment where we get her defining moment in NXT. I think that's still yet to come once they kind of still work out the kinks to her character.
Yeah, I think so as well. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think Lash is actually turning a bit of a corner right now, I feel, in NXT right now. And I'm enjoying her work. I don't think the championship is needed with her just yet. I think maybe somewhere down the line it could be of benefit. She's certainly been improving, certainly been raising the profile as well. A great performance in Deadline last year as well, but not someone I've got winning. But I've got two names left then, Sol Ruca and Fallon Henley. I'm going to take a stab of who I think you think is going to win this match. I'm going to say Sol Ruca is your prediction. No.
Nope. I think Fallon Henley deserves. Fallon Henley, just from a personal standpoint, I think has deserved this more than anyone. Fallon Henley has been on the roster for ages. She had, I think it was a tag team run with Kelani James at one point, and has kind of really not done anything since. And I think that with Ruca, Michin, and Parker winning last night, dude, I'm going with the old WWE booking. Is that if you win during the midweek, the loser has to pick up the win on the Sunday. So for me, at least Fallon Henley as well, which is, I know it's a very easy excuse to use, but Sol Ruca, I think it's too soon coming back from injury. I still haven't had a decent enough story with Sol that I think grants a championship run, if you know what I mean. I think she's another one that's kind of in here like Jaida, that's in here for I'm expecting to see a crazy spot where she does her finisher and has to flip off of a ladder or something. It's going to be great, I'm sure, but just not for me, unfortunately. It's going to be Fallon Henley with me.
Soul Snatcher from the top of the ladder. Eric, you're cooking there, my friend. I hope that sounds a very dangerous spot, to be fair, but certainly sounds a fun one. So, yeah, I mean, obviously we can talk about both ladies, I suppose, at the same time here, because you mentioned about Fallon as your winner. I have the same prediction. I think Fallon's winning this as well. Sol Ruca is the one that was number one in the rankings. She's won the match on NXT this past week. She was happy to keep quiet and let everyone mince their words because she's just confident in her ability. She's going to be the one that's going to be screwed at that last moment of the match, and then it's going to lead to one of the heels winning the title. It always, for me, it makes more sense in this match here for a heel to win it, because then a babyface can go and chase the title afterwards. If a face wins it, although we have a heel champion with Roxanne Perez currently right now, that could change at the end of the night. It's not a guarantee that it stays the same. So I would say that for me, I think it's better that a heel wins this, and then you have automatically the faces need to go and chase it to try and win it. And you've already got like a bit of, dare I say it, a bit of you're more intrigued into the story because of the fact you want to see something change. You're not sure that you're 100% content with what happened, so you want to see the babyface triumph and come through and win it. If a face does it from the beginning, it's kind of like, okay, cool, what's next? What's happening out in the rest of the show? It's not the same vibe when the heel is chasing the title. So I feel the same as you. I think Sol Ruca's there for the big spots. I think she's going to be screwed. Why Fallon Henley is my choice? Like you said, she's been around the block, she's done everything, but she's recently turned heel. She's looked after everybody else apart from herself. Now she's putting herself first. This is the time where now she will actually be able to benefit and win a championship, because that's something that's, well, not eluded her. She won the tag team titles with Kiana James, who ironically was someone who cheated as well throughout that period. She didn't even know what was going on half of the time. So Fallon Henley is going to do this for Fallon. It's going to be all about her this time.
Plus, obviously the crowd wants Sol Ruca to win, and you know how WWE book their stuff. If that's what the crowd wants, that's not what we're going to give you. So yeah, do you know what I mean? It's a very old trope that we're going off of here, but that's my excuse. I think, lots of Fallon Henley's been there the longest. It's a brand new title. I think an established name probably deserves to win it first. Like, obviously, we know Adam Cole won the men's one in the first ever ladder match, and it was kind of like, was the right call to make. And I think that Fallon Henley probably is the right call to make with this one.
Yeah, I do as well, but that's what we think. Obviously, going to the comments, we've seen Sol Ruca being there from Eric Douglas, Noob and Co saying Kelani or Fallon to win the title. And Zayn's just not happy that Thea Howell's not in the match. That's the real upset there. I think Zayn may be taking a break during this match. But it does ask when is Battleground. It's this Sunday. This Sunday is the time that you'll see this show. Eric says Thea may get a time with the title, but she's kind of losing it at the moment. Yeah, she's in a loser's run at the moment. She'll get back on the saddle at some point. But Eric says strict, but she has a lot of talent. WWE are very behind her. Yes. We've got Sid here says, who is your favorite NXT women and men? His is Thea Howell and Wesley. I'll answer. I think I agree. Wesley's my favorite in the men's division right now. Women's division, I would say Roxanne Perez for me.
For the women, there's a couple: Thea Hale, Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade as and when she's fit. Men wise, the same. Wesley. I mean, I'm a big Joe Coffey fan as well. Gallus boys on top always, but there's a couple of names like. Obviously, when you put me on the spot, my brain goes completely blank and I completely forget now. But even like people like Tony D'Angelo, like I know a lot of people don't like him, but I think he's great, man. I think the character is so entertaining, and I genuinely enjoy watching him.
I didn't like Charlie Dempsey's impression though this week. I thought that needed a bit of work personally, but
he's a wrestler, not an impersonist.
Yeah, don't give him a microphone at this present time, please. Eric says that you'll have. We do have Fallon Henley winning, but it says Soul has to win. Yeah.
Oh, so done.
And are Joe Coffey and Mark Coffey brothers? I believe so. They certainly are in storyline purposes. I've not looked up I've not seen their birth certificate, so I can't.
I'm pretty sure they are, as far as like that, or it's a really good gimmick that's been going on for the longest time
through every promotion they've ever been in. So
every wrestling promotion ever.
We assume the answer is yes. And funnily enough, we say not say his name when he appears, but we believe in Joe Coffey. But let's talk about the men's North American title then. As we talked about the women's, let's go to the men's. Oba Femi defending in the triple threat match against Joe Coffey and Wesley. Now, this initially looked like it was actually going to be a four-way to begin with. It was going to be looking like to be Oba Femi, Wesley, Josh Briggs, and Ivar of the Viking Raiders. But of course, at the time, Oba Femi, a bit more clever than that. He said, well, guys, actually, why do I need to face three of you? Have a number one contenders match, and I'll see the winner at Battleground. It was his way around it. Of course, though, during that segment, it was the same week that the Gallus boys came back and they showed they had to be on top. And in that process, they actually took Ivar out. Ivar's on the shelf. We're not sure when he's going to be back. Get well soon, Ivar. But Joe Coffey then replaced Ivar in the match. And of course, Wesley and Joe Coffey both got a victory over Josh Briggs at the same time. It was a bit of a screwy finish, but it led to this triple threat match. We'll keep this one pretty short and pretty sweet, but I feel that this is kind of a long-term destination. This is about Oba Femi versus Wesley. I feel that Joe Coffey here is almost the stopgap in this match, because Coffey's already made his intention of going for every title in NXT, not just the North American. He can easily go after Trick Williams after this show if he takes a loss here.
Absolutely. It saddens me, the fact that they're using Gallus like this, and that Joe Coffey is unfortunately in there to keep the other two looking strong by the looks of it. And yeah, it sucks, man. Like, I really want Gallus to actually do something incredible. I mean, fingers crossed. I'm sitting there praying that maybe, Clash of the Castle's coming up. Drew McIntyre could do with, a faction, Gallus boys on top. Drew McIntyre, maybe. It's not what I originally planned, but it's an idea to be thrown out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It does feel like that, to be fair. Look, I think that Oba Femi versus Wesley will be perhaps the match when it comes to Heatwave. The big question here is, though, does Oba Femi retain his title here, or does Wesley actually pin Joe Coffey? Because this is a good way to get the title of Oba Femi on this show, because he looks like he's unbeatable to me.
I think Oba Femi retains here by a pinfall on Coffey, which allows Wesley to then get a rematch at the next pay-per-view.
Interesting stuff indeed. I think Oba Femi will retain as well at this present moment. Eric Douglas also has Oba Femi. If you enjoyed the video so far on YouTube, make sure that the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you're watching on X, thank you so much for all joining us. This is the first time doing a prediction stream on this platform, so I do appreciate everyone that's tuning in and sticking with us. Make sure to hit the like if you can, and perhaps retweet. It does help the channel a long way. If you want to interact though with comments, we will bring the comments up. You have to come over to the YouTube site. So it's SCW, the wrestling channel on YouTube. Of course, you can get the link actually via my Twitter page, my X page, whatever you want to call it. I still call it Twitter because I'm stuck in the past. But we'll move on in the meantime anyway. And we're going to talk about something that I think is going to be near and dear to NXT's heart. Tag team wrestling, ladies and gents. Of course, we've got the NXT Tag Team Championships on the line. Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus the Good Brothers. So this one pretty much is quite simply straightforward. The fact that Nathan Frazier and Axiom won the tag team titles, then had to face AOP, of course, who attacked them. The Good Brothers have returned to NXT because there's not really much going on SmackDown, apart from when AJ Styles is doing a Mark Henry and attacking Cody Rhodes. But apart from that, Good Brothers are usually in NXT at the moment, but they're taking quite a bit of offense to anyone that comes from the main roster going for those titles because they want to see NXT talent get those tag team championships. A little bit of hypocrisy, but we're all here for it. But there was an attack on the merch stand this past week. How do you see things going with Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus the Good Brothers? I need to take a 30-second break. I'll be back in a couple of seconds.
Go for it. Unfortunately, I think this is just filler, and I think that unfortunately the OC are just here as a stopgap until I think they establish who they want to take those tag team titles off of Axiom and Nathan Frazier. If anything, it's a great way to build these two up. I mean, I don't know. I still have my fingers crossed that one day they'll bring back the Cruiserweight Championship, and Axiom and Nathan Frazier are just two great competitors that I would love to see go one-on-one for a Cruiserweight Championship. But yeah, the OC is, as much as it pains me, man, I would love to see these dudes actually win some gold and do something relevant again. Like, I don't want them just being there for the sake of being there and turning up and getting a paycheck every week. I I wouldn't be surprised if they won here, but I like the story is that they want NXT talent to develop, and I just think that the OC are a stopgap, unfortunately.
That's kind of my feeling with this match, because here comes the part where I talk about TNA again. I actually think that if you look at the tag team division in NXT right now, it is by far the weakest division in all of WWE. I don't see where the natural challengers come in. You could argue Axiom and Frazier after this could take on Gallus, for example. That's a match that could be set in stone. It's fresh. But after that, I start to struggle where I find people come in. I mean, I've seen Chase, you mentioned earlier on. There's a new tag team that's coming that the names escape me at this particular moment. I suppose Tony D'Angelo family could get in as well, but it still feels like a weaker division. And when we saw the likes of, I don't know, Pretty Deadly was there last year. There was other tag teams in this division. Obviously, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin were carrying this before WrestleMania. It just feels like a weaker period. I would actually be quite happy to see a couple of TNA tag teams come in and try and vie for these straps at some point. Maybe the System, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, or if I was to get my way, I'd like to see ABC, Ace Austin and Chris Bay against Axiom and Frazier. That'd be a tag team which I'd love to see.
Not the Rascals, no.
I'd love to see that
obviously
as well.
with Wesley there as well. Do you know what I mean? There's a story for them three, dude, man. It's one of the ones I'd be shouting for, man. Get the Rascals back together.
Yeah, I mean, I would be totally down for the Rascals as well. Used to love their work in TNA and Impact, but I'm maybe going slight off topic, but I will give the prediction. I agree with you. It's a shame here because I think the Good Brothers they're an established tag team. Axiom and Frazier are a team that arguably been thrown together, but they've made a really good run with it. And I think that actually this is their best chance of surviving on a Raw or SmackDown together, is being a tag team. I don't think singly they survive. I think they get lost in the shuffle. And that's harsh to say, but this is the hard-hitting truth, I guess, if we want to put a pun on it. But I feel the Good Brothers would be good for an establishing this tag team division for the moment, but I think Axiom and Frazier have been good champions so far, and I think they'll continue with the speedy rocker-style tag team that will hold the gold.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of off the top of my head, there's like 3 or 4 tag teams, because like you said, you've got the D'Angelo family, you've got Chase U, there's the guys that were previously managed by Scripps, but now he's been released. You've got those 2 guys. You've got Malik and Blade, I believe. I can't remember their tag team. Now, there is some teams on there. Essentially, you really do need a dusty tournament right now to get some hype back into this tag team division, because it really is luster. And yeah, as I was saying, why you disappeared, I really want Frazier and Axiom to be part of a cruiserweight division. So, fingers crossed they bring that back. But yeah, I mean, like you said, at the minute a tag team is a kind of their level at the minute if they were to ever go up to the main roster.
I kind of get your vibe with that at the moment. It's a shame we've already had the Dusty Classic this year, because it would be very handy right now, but something that could certainly help this division would be quite nice. But Axiom and Frazier seem to be the prediction from us too. Let's go into the comments. We've got here, Eric has the Good Brothers to pick up the win here, suggesting that ABC could come in and win the tag team titles, or the Motor City Machine Guns. Would love to see that. Now that's a nice one to see come in there, because even though they're not with TNA, would love to see them come in. And everyone's thought they'd be in AEW, still not turned up yet. So unless Tony Khan's just paying them to sit on the sidelines until the right moment comes, I'm not sure. But would love to see them appear somewhere soon. Going back to Joe Coffey as Booking Like a Mark. Good to see you guys in the house as Joe is playing the Bronson Reed role from King and Queen of the Ring. Quite literally, it seems, when you look at this. But Eric was suggesting the Queens could go back down. I think they could be busy with Master Gable could be their future right now in WWE. It seems to be, again, it was teased on Monday Night Raw, so I think they'll be staying put. Main event just for another few weeks, and I think we'll see more of them then on the red brand moving forward. But we'll move on in the meantime, and we'll go on to match 5 of our 6 matches here. We're going to go to NXT Underground. Lola Vice versus Shayna Baszler. NXT Underground has been redefined from the old days of Raw Underground, which, to be fair, probably was my least favorite thing ever in WWE. But NXT Underground has just redefined it for me. Obviously, you're taking the ring ropes away. You've had the dark imagery like you would do before, but it feels like a proper match with everyone cheering around on ringside. I don't know, I don't know it's the people that's been put in the matches that makes them better. The fact they're longer, that you have more time for story-driven stuff going on, or the fact you have just legitimate badasses in there, people that would be like Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice, because, well, this has kind of started through NXT Underground when Lola Vice had her feud going on with Natalya. Of course, Natalya had Karma Petrovic training her for the match. Lola Vice brought in Shayna Baszler. And of course, well, Lola Vice got the better of that NXT Underground match, but when they had a tag team match not so long afterwards, of course, Natalya and Karma did get their win back, to the point that Lola and Shayna, they just didn't stay on the same page for very long, and Lola was basically shaking her booty a lot of the time, and Shayna didn't like it, so she decided to basically make her go to sleep and tap her out. That's what's made the NXT Underground match, which is quite fun to see. I've got to say, really enjoyed the video package this past week. You've been featuring UFC talents as well, of who they thought they would win. I'm actually looking forward to this match quite a lot, especially when I saw in that video package, Shayna Baszler, the Queen of Spades, is going to make the splash once again. Like, it's the return of the Queen of Spades here.
If there isn't someone in the roster that needs a win really badly to reinvigorate a solo career, it is Shayna Baszler. And the rebirth of the Queen of Spades, oh, as much as it sounds like it'd be such a nice thing to have back, unfortunately, I cannot see it going Shayna's way. Let's talk about the fact it's an NXT Underground match, dude. You're in the UFC training facility. Why are we not getting a fight pit or a what was it? What's the old
Lion's Den
match? This is what it should have been, a Lion's Den match. This would have been absolutely killer for Lion's Den. As much as I'd love to say Shayna Baszler would win this and then maybe bring out a more vicious side in Lola, I can't see it happening. This is an NXT star that you're supposed to be building up. You've brought a main roster star down. I can only see it going one way, and I think Lola Vice is going to win this. I'm not as excited to see this as what you are. Like I said, I think if they'd have put this in a Lions Den, I'd have been a bit more exciting. The situation and the fit in the place and the time would have made it kind of the greatest place to do it, but unfortunately, they've not done it.
I find this interesting. I mean, to be fair, I'm not going to lie to you. Being in the UFC Apex, I was expecting something with a cage involved on this show, perhaps being in one of those, and this would have been the perfect match for it. But NXT Underground is their platform. It's what they do, and I've got to say that I do think they've booked it a lot better. I forget the guy's name who's been involved. Eddie Thorpe has had a couple of good ones as there, especially with Dijak. I thought it was a really good one they did before. And it's just, I don't know, they've got better under NXT. Like I said, I think they've got more time, they've got more ability to tell a story, and they've been made to feel really important rather than sort of Shane McMahon's sort of like illegal basement club that he had in a pandemic. Do you know what I mean? Like, that we all shouldn't be here, you know, don't have to stay, 3 feet apart in this area. Do you know what I mean? So it just was very weird and random back in the old days. I prefer this format of how NXT and Sean has booked this. And I've got to say, with the two people involved, I do agree in a way that there is one person that has a lot to lose in this match, but there's one that doesn't. I think Lola Vice comes out with credibility either way, which is why I'm going to predict I think Shayna Baszler is going to win, because she's the more established of the two. She's this time, well, say last year, but perhaps this time 10 months ago, You know, she was beating Ronda Rousey in an MMA match convincingly on the way out. You would think that she should be beating Lola Vice here, but maybe that's not what's going to happen. But I like what you said, and I think it's what's going to happen because Lola has been, let's just say, parading around, dancing around a lot, which has its audience. But I think that she's going to get into a more badass side when she loses this match. I think we're going to see a more vicious side moving forward from Lola Vice, which is why I've got Shayna Baszler winning this match.
At least we disagree on one match tonight. I suppose that's something nice to look at. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I really want Baszler to win it, but I can't see it happening. I just think that the reason why half this talent goes back to the NXT is to lose, to make the NXT roster look better, to try and make a bigger deal out of these stars, which is what their goal is. But the return of the Queen of Spades, fingers crossed, man.
We can only hope. I mean, at the end of the day, Sonya Deville's trying to make a super group on Raw at the moment. Baszler and Stark still want none of it. I think that may change somewhere down the line. I don't see Baszler ever going back to full Queen of Spades unless she just does NXT full time. But I do see, I can see a slight resurgence in Baszler, but I still don't think it's going to be to the heights of what we've seen previously. I think sadly those days are gone. But for this night, for this occasion, I see Baszler winning at this particular time. But like you say, it's good that we disagree because it keeps it interesting for you lot watching. You never know what we're going to do with the rest of the matches or match that we have. But going into the comments, Eric Douglas has Lola Vice winning, asking if weapons are allowed. I'm presuming they are allowed. It's I believe it's a no disqualification. It's basically knockout or tap out. So I assume weapons would be allowed in this match.
I don't know. This is essentially a lumberjack match. Let's be honest. Maybe that's how they can make this a little bit more interesting. I mean, God, as long as this doesn't end up like Brawl for All, I think we'll be all right. Do you know what I mean? And as long as someone doesn't go shoot and actually tries to break an arm, I'm sure we'll be okay.
We don't book a butterbean. That's what we don't do on this occasion. But absolutely, indeed. There, Eric says Lola has all the tools. She just needs to find the keys to the tool shed. I like that analogy there, Eric. There, absolutely. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting match, I think, for sure. But I will say, out of everything, even though I'm kind of looking forward to it because NXT Underground has been better, still would prefer the Cage the Lions Den. Just want to put that on record out there. Just before going to the last match, just want to remind everybody, if you can, like the video if you're watching on YouTube. It really does help the video go a long way on the algorithm. As well, keep your comments coming in. Subscribe if you're new on this side as well. If you're watching on X, then thank you for taking the time watching. We've currently got, across both platforms, we've got 59 viewers currently on both platforms watching at present. And if you can hit the like button on the tweet and retweet it as well, it just helps spread the word of the channel. In fact, people doing that just instantly has moved up to 61 viewers. So thanks to everyone that is watching presently. It really does help. And of course, you want to comment, come on the YouTube side. That's where your comments can be put up on screen and questions can be answered as well. But we are going then into what will be could be a main event of the show, but we reckon Roxanne and Jordynne Grace is going to main event. So this will probably be the sub-main event, but it'll be our main event of the stream today. We will be talking about the NXT Championship match. We'll be talking about Trick Williams versus Ethan Page, all ego, who surprised everybody by attacking Noam Dar and Aura Mensah, which no one knew about that. Of course, then Trick Williams was kind of getting the blame on NXT. And after that, we actually then saw Ethan Page make his appearance after a tag team match that featured Trick Williams. And obviously, Trick Williams then was beaten down, and Ethan Page held up the NXT Championship. And we've got to this week where Ethan Page had said he had not signed with NXT. The rumor mill said he'd actually signed. But at the same time, Ethan had this contract signing of where he would sign the dotted line, has all these crazy demands. And of course, one of those crazy demands was that he would get an NXT Championship match in his debut match at Battleground, which Trick Williams was quite happy to oblige to. Your thoughts of Trick Williams versus Ethan Page? First off, I basically want to say, I know you said you're hyped for Ethan Page being a part of the NXT roster.
Yeah, man. I've been following Ethan Page for well over 2 years now. I only really sort of knew about him since he came to AEW, but yeah, the guy he's a very likable guy, and that, like I said before when we was talking last week on a Q&A or whatever we was doing last time, I forget. He will go far just from the fan backing alone, because he, like, even though he's come in as a heel, like, there's people like me that just really want to see him do well and exceed and achieve great things. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be this weekend, though. That's the problem. Like, WWE, you never fail to let me down with your, digital exclusives where you turn around and show that Ethan Page gets attacked after by Aura Mensa, and I'm like, okay, well, thank you for scripting that Ethan Page isn't going to win this weekend with that one. Shame as it would be nice as it would be to see him do it. It's just a case of, right, well, we know who Ethan Page is going to be facing for the next couple of months, and yeah, thanks for that, WWE. But yeah, dude, looking forward to seeing what he could do. I know, obviously, when he was in ROH, he was stuck in there for the longest time, and ROH is not what it used to be. So hopefully the NXT treats him a bit better, and we get to see what Ethan Page can actually do. And the fact that he's going with All Ego Ethan Page, he's got his name. I love it, man. I think it's great. It's great that he's be able to retain his trademarks. And yeah, like I said, putting him up against Trick Williams this weekend, I think it's going to be a great showing. It's a great way to show what Ethan Page can do. I thought he was amazing on the promo last night. His delivery was great. You can tell that he's learned a lot. Well, like I said, he's like, you can see how he's come from 2 years ago to now in his promo work alone. It's great to see. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think that Ethan Page, I mean, I've followed his work from when he debuted in Impact Wrestling, obviously now TNA, obviously going through the Tag Team of the North, Josh Alexander, obviously then being part of Men of the Year with Scorpio Sky, not long after his AEW debut. And like he said, he's kind of always been the one that's broke away, looking to try and better himself, but he's obviously not always been the one to do so. I mean, Josh Alexander's won the now TNA World Championship, was Impact at the time. Scorpio Sky was a TNT champion. Ethan Page just kind of got, kicked off with a karate gimmick himself as a karate man. It was his sign off of Impact Wrestling TNA back in the day, and obviously with AEW, like you said, he got shoved down to Ring of Honor and had to sort of almost be just watched by nobody, which is a real shame because he's such a talent. And like you say, his mic work, you can see he's got a point to prove. He's driven. He wants to make this work. He wants to make it a success. And it's one thing that's really exciting about this show, because WWE just kind of went and just swung things left field here, because like you said, how often do you see someone come again and get the top championship match on their first showing? I can only think of like the Giant, with Paul White in WCW against Hogan. I can't think of many other occasions where someone actually would get, their first match is the top title, the top match. But I agree with you. I do feel that Ethan Page is going to lose here. It's a shame to say, because Trick's story has just got started. Trick Williams, whoop that Trick, is so over. He's had the great story of Carmelo Hayes. He's someone that's now got himself the NXT title. He's looking for more programs to go further down the line. This is a great stopgap, which keeps things interesting. But I do think Trick Williams wins here. Like you said, it's probably going to be Ora Mensa and Noam Dar being the future things for Ethan Page. However, I do think it will be a success for Ethan Page in NXT and WWE, because he's clearly got the mic work. As we said a lot on this stream, we do feel that is important to get to the next level, and WWE is the right profile for Ethan Page, the right presentation. I think he will be a star when it comes to NXT and WWE. However, it doesn't mean he'll be NXT champion on his first match there. Trick Williams is the face of NXT right now, and I think he will remain that for the foreseeable future.
I mean, don't get me wrong. A small part of me is hoping that he does win. Same as a small part of me that hopes Jordynne Grace wins. I mean, the only thing I'm thinking is who is Trick Williams' next opponent if Ethan Page doesn't win. Obviously, there's the whole TNA thing, which means they can possibly just bring people in as and when to fill a gap for the time being. But I don't know who is meant to be top contender for that NXT Championship on the men's side. There isn't a long list at the minute, because there's obviously still some development story-wise to be done, unless I'm missing someone who's really obvious. But maybe Ethan Page has a chance to win just because it keeps Trick busy for the next month or so, 2 months. Maybe there's an opportunity for him winning back at a later date. I don't know. But yeah, we never know. We'll soon see on Sunday.
We will do indeed. Obviously, like you said, there is opportunities to what they can do going forward. I don't think the path is that clear. As Ethan Page actually said, NXT lost like 8 people in the draft, and it feels like there has been a bit of a hole put there. So to bring Grace in, to bring Ethan Page in, there really has filled that for this show, and it's had a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement. With on top of knowing as well, we get a Women's North American champion as well at the end of it after a ladder match. There's a lot of things to look forward to on this show. But I still feel Ethan Page isn't winning here. But Trick Williams, like you said, the TNA side, maybe something can happen with there. Someone. Moose. That's what I want to see. That's the match I would want. That's what I want to see go down. But I don't know if that again. It's champion versus champion, isn't it? Do you do that twice? I'm not sure.
Dude, Moose. I'm trying to think who else is on there. You've got Josh Alexander's on there. You've got Mike Bailey's on there. You got bring Matt Cardona back. There's so many names on that TNA roster that you could just bring in, like especially people like Cardona can come in and do a job. That would be great. I mean, I'm trying to not go for people who have just left WWE and gone to TNA. There, do you know what I mean? As much as I'd like to see Mustafa Ali come back in and have an opportunity, which, to be fair, he should have got before he got released, unfortunately. So there's a story there they could do. I'm looking forward to it. But hopefully, it turns out to be something really special.
I hope it's going to be something really special indeed there. But our pick, though, will be Trick Williams to win. And we've been asked a couple of really fun questions here. We'll start with this one from Eric here. Do you think Dan Lambert comes out to help? Someone that's definitely in the world of UFC's world. He's certainly imagined being in attendance here. I don't see it happening, but certainly I would have a chuckle if he did turn up.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's maybe might be referee. You never know. There's an opportunity, maybe.
I don't want to see it. I've seen him play want to be pro wrestling evil heel, and this current crop of wrestlers is not like the 70s and 80s in both TNA and in AEW. I don't need to see it in WWE as well. But anyway, Sid asking, will we see the other TNA wrestlers on Knockout show up at Battleground? I would like to see a couple of them in the audience just to have a bit of support for Grace. I think that would be quite a unique look. To see something more happen, I don't know if it's overkill or not, especially if Grace is the main event. I personally wouldn't do it on this show, but that's just me.
I don't know. One or two I don't think would go harm, but for me, they have to be TNA talent. So it would have to be, for instance, Moose, Bailey. I don't want anyone that's ex-WWE. So Jonathan Gresham, maybe. That would be another one I'd suggest. Or
yes.
Who was Hammerstone? Man, that dude, do you know what I mean? And we know why he went to TNA, but dude, if I said the other day that this is a ploy for WWE just to sign Jordynne Grace, there's a guy there called Hammerstone who is another great talent. There's someone else they should equally try and hire.
Josh Alexander as well. We've got a shopping list here, but at the same time, happy if they're staying TNA as well. I'm a TNA fan as well. So we'll see how it's all going to play out. We were going to get reminded of some people got championship matches in their first match. However, some of them we don't want to remember. Cain Velasquez was one of them at Crown Jewel against Brock Lesnar. Paige did get an opportunity as well for the Divas title on her first shot as well. I believe it was against AJ Lee, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, fighting.
There you go. Fun one for anyone watching. Put this in the comments afterwards, or anyone that watches it back. Who won a WWE title in their first match at WrestleMania? 10 points to Gryffindor if you get that.
Here we go. I'm going to let the comments answer that one because my brain can't think quick enough. Do you think that Ethan Page eventually gets the belt? Could do one day. There's no reason why he couldn't. We hope. Ali versus Trick, or perhaps even Ace Austin versus Trick, would not be against either of those matches. I don't see how Trick deals with Moose's size. That's part of the ploy there, isn't it? That'd be quite fun to see that match for that reason. How can we overcome it? We've got C Nation. This is, I think, Jordynne Grace showing up here is a one-off, and WWE is going to make up for TNA by having Natalya show up for Jordynne Grace's open challenge for the Knockouts Championship at Against All Odds. Fair play. And Ethan Page and Josh Alexander crossing paths in NXT would be interesting for sure. I do agree with that as well. Eric Douglas asked why we don't want, or why NXT, I think you specifically said you do want any ex-WWE people coming back into NXT. I'm guessing fresh opportunities.
Yeah, the idea is meant to show off TNA, and it's kind of like, why would we? I don't want to see Nick Nemeth come into NXT. It's like, I've just had like 20 years of Dolph Ziggler. He's not someone that I need to be showcasing. Do you know what I mean? And what they're going to bring him in as Nick Nemeth? I'd rather not. I'd rather bring in someone who hasn't had that mainstream audience that WWE can put eyes on. If you give them someone like a Hammerstone, a Speedball, Mike Bailey, a Tasha Steele, someone fresh, someone new they haven't seen before, give them a reason to go and check out TNA. If you just bring in Nick Nemeth, it's kind of like, oh, Dolph Ziggler's in TNA. Well, I don't need to go and see what TNA does because I know what Dolph Ziggler can do.
And you can also see, if you see him on NXT, you can go back and watch his run on Peacock of being NXT champion. So, yeah, I totally get your point of view, and I agree with that. It would be better of saying that. And Eric does say, like, he gets what we're saying as well with that one. Since I do not want WWE to overdo the WWE and TNA crossover because it won't be special.
Agreed.
Just to ask AEW with New Japan, yeah, I suppose it can be overdone as well. But we're out of comments on the YouTube side, so I think this is a good opportunity to wrap up the stream. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has watched, whether you've been watching on YouTube or on X. Thank you for taking the time out to join us here today. 66 viewers. We're at high at one point of 67 was the high point on this with the two platforms together. So thank you everyone that has taken the time to check out this stream. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. It really helps in the algorithms of YouTube. Drop a comment at the end of this video as well. If you're watching on delay, perhaps you can drop your prediction or your predictions, who you think is going to win in the comments below. It would be really a great help as well. If you're watching on X, then thank you all for watching. Thank you for taking the time out. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed it. Please retweet it as well, so hopefully it can spread into the world of X, and hopefully a few more wrestling fans can find this platform, because it's all about growing. It's a small channel. Would like to see it grow and see where we can take it. Of course, as well, if you want to see more videos in the meantime, if you've enjoyed this, why not head over to YouTube? There are plenty of shorter form content along with other previous live streams that we've done on the channel, and it's pretty much at least 3 to 4 videos uploaded every week on this channel, so there's plenty of content and reasoning to go over to the YouTube channel. So thank you all for watching, really do appreciate it. I want to say as well a big thank you to the guy next to me, NX Steve, who's been keeping me company, and it's been great to have you on board for this predictions video.
Yeah, dude, it was a pleasure. It's been, like I said, a long time since I've done anything NXT related, even though the clue's in my name that I used to be a big black and gold fan. So it's just good to go back and finally be excited for NXT once again.
Absolutely, indeed, Dan. I've got to say, I'm buzzing for it as well. Are you excited for NXT? Let us know in the comments right now. Thank you for watching. Look after yourselves. We'll see you for the next video. Take care. All the best.